Commander Elena Torres had always thought the mandatory survival kit was overkill. After 15 years of successful diplomatic missions, the reinforced titanium case felt more like a security blanket than a necessity. Yet as she watched her shuttle's burning wreckage illuminate the purple-tinged sky of Nexus 7, that paranoid preparation suddenly seemed like the galaxy's most brilliant invention. The diplomatic mission had started routinely enough. The Arxians, a species of crystalline beings, had requested Earth's expertise in handling extreme geological conditions. Their homeworld was experiencing unprecedented tectonic activity, and humanity's experience with earthquakes and volcanic events made them ideal consultants. What no one had mentioned was Nexus 7's peculiar atmospheric composition. The Arxian representative had assured her that the landing zone was safe for human physiology. Elena now wondered if they'd actually bothered to check, or if their crystalline biology made them oblivious to organic needs. The moment her shuttle had hit the lower atmosphere, every warning system had screamed to life. The air itself seemed to eat through the shuttle's protective coating like acid through paper. Elena checked her environment suit's readings for the 100th time. The kit's augmented filters were handling the caustic atmosphere, but they'd only last another 72 hours. She had to find shelter before then. Resource check, she muttered, her voice steadied despite the situation. The survival kit's inventory scrolled across her helmet's heads-up display: water purification tablets, emergency rations, universal medical supplies, plasma torch, molecular adhesive, emergency beacon, and a piece de resistance, a miniaturized matter reconstructor. The last item was humanity's latest innovation, capable of recycling almost any material into basic survival necessities. A distant rumble made her look up. The purple sky had darkened to an ominous violet, and something that looked suspiciously like crystalline hail began to fall. Elena quickly consulted her geological scanner, another kit essential that had seemed redundant during training. The readings made her blood run cold. The hail wasn't ice at all, but silicon-based crystals sharp enough to shred her suit. She needed shelter, fast. The scanner showed a network of caves 2 kilometers east. As the deadly precipitation began to intensify, Elena activated her suit's exoskeleton assistance, another, unnecessary, addition to the kit that was about to save her life. The cave system proved to be more than just shelter. As Elena ventured deeper, her lights revealed strange markings on the walls. They weren't Arxian, their crystalline appendages couldn't make such fluid strokes. These were different, older perhaps. Her universal translator, yet another kit component, began processing the symbols. A crash from deeper within the cave system made her freeze. She wasn't alone. The survival kit's motion sensor picked up multiple signatures approaching her position. They moved with purpose, intelligence. Either the Arxians had failed to mention native inhabitants, or she'd stumbled onto something they themselves didn't know about. Elena checked her kit's inventory again, this time with tactical options in mind. The plasma torch could serve as a weapon if needed. The molecular adhesive could seal passages or create barriers. But it was the last item, hidden in a secret compartment, that gave her the most comfort: a prototype universal consciousness translator. It was experimental technology, designed to facilitate understanding beyond mere language, tapping into shared concepts and experiences across species. As the beings drew closer, Elena made a decision. She hadn't come here to hide or fight. She was a diplomat, and her kit gave her everything she needed to survive long enough to make first contact. Even if it wasn't the contact she'd originally planned for. She activated the consciousness translator and stepped forward, ready to show the galaxy why humans were known for turning disaster into opportunity. The beings emerged from the darkness, their forms unlike anything in Earth's database. They were neither crystalline like the Arxians nor organic like humans. They seemed to exist in a state between, their bodies shifting like smoke given form. Elena smiled behind her helmet. This was exactly why the survival kit contained such a wide array of tools. Humanity had learned long ago that the galaxy rarely fit into neat categories. Survival meant being ready for anything. The beings surrounded her, their forms rippling with what she interpreted as curiosity. The consciousness translator hummed to life, and Elena felt the first tentative connection form. In that moment, she realized that the kit wasn't just about survival, it was about building bridges across the vast distances between species, one careful preparation at a time. The consciousness translator pulsed with alien thoughts, fragments of understanding filtering through as Elena faced the smoke-like beings. As she waited for clearer communication, her mind drifted to the history lessons that had been drilled into every spacefaring human's memory, the events that had led to the creation of the very kit that was keeping her alive. It had started with the Jakarta incident, 20 years ago. Captain Marcus Wong had been humanity's first casualty in deep space diplomacy, not from hostility but from simple biological incompatibility. His death had sent shockwaves through the United Earth Space Command. The autopsy revealed he'd died from exposure to an alien microorganism that his standard-issue emergency kit couldn't handle. The tragedy sparked a revolution in human survival preparation. Elena's attention snapped back to the present as one of the smoke beings moved closer, its form condensing into something more solid. The consciousness translator was beginning to form coherent concepts: curiosity, caution, recognition. They knew what she was, a solid being, like the Arxians above, but different. Through the translator, she felt their own history, a story of hiding and survival. "We share more than you might think," Elena projected through the translator, remembering the next chapter in the kit's development. After Jakarta, Dr. Kai Patel had led the initiative to create the Universal Survival System. His team had studied every known hostile environment, every diplomatic disaster, every near-miss in humanity's brief but intense period of space exploration. The smoke beings rippled with interest as Elena slowly opened her kit, letting them see each item. Through the translator, she felt their surprise at the plasma torch. They recognized fire, feared it. But it was the matter reconstructor that caused the strongest reaction. Their forms swirled with excitement and something that felt like hope. The development of the matter reconstructor had been a direct response to the Titan colony crisis, when 300 humans had nearly perished after their supply lines were cut by an unexpected meteor shower. The ability to recycle and reconstruct materials had seemed like science fiction until Dr. Yuki Tanaka cracked the code, miniaturizing technology that had previously required an entire facility. Elena realized the smoke beings were trying to show her something. Their forms parted, revealing a passage deeper into the cave system. Through the translator, she understood, they too were survivors, refugees from the surface when the Arxians had arrived. The crystalline beings hadn't detected them, couldn't detect them, but their mining operations were destroying the cave systems these creatures called home. As she followed them deeper, Elena activated another kit component that had seemed excessive during training, the geological mapping system. Dr. Amara Okafor had insisted on its inclusion after the Kepler 186f mining disaster, where human colonists had accidentally destabilized an entire cave network. The device began creating a detailed subterranean map, revealing the extensive damage the Arxian mining had already caused. The smoke beings led her to a vast chamber where hundreds more of their kind swirled in distress. Through the translator, Elena understood their plight. The Arxians' mining operations were releasing gases that were toxic even to these gaseous beings. They needed help, but had no way to communicate with the surface dwellers. Elena checked her kit's inventory again, an idea forming. The molecular adhesive could be reconfigured through the matter reconstructor to create a gas-impermeable barrier. The plasma torch could seal the most dangerous fissures. But most importantly, the consciousness translator could bridge the gap between these beings and the Arxians above. As she explained her plan through the translator, Elena reflected on the kit's most important lesson: it wasn't just about individual survival. Dr. Isabella Santos, the kit's final architect, had insisted on including tools for communication and cooperation. The greatest threat in space, she'd said, isn't the environment or alien biology, it's misunderstanding. The smoke beings swirled with agreement as Elena began to set up the equipment. She had 70 hours of air left, enough time to save these beings and complete her original mission. The Arxians needed help with their geological problems. Well, she'd just found the perfect local experts. Her kit's emergency beacon pulsed steadily, its signal strengthened by the cave's natural minerals. Soon, it would bring help. But until then, Elena had everything she needed to turn this crisis into an opportunity for three species to learn from each other. After all, that's what the kit was really about, not just surviving, but thriving in a galaxy full of surprises. The matter reconstructor hummed as it converted the molecular adhesive into sheets of gas-resistant barrier material. Elena worked quickly, guided by the cave's new residents. The smoke beings possessed an intimate knowledge of their underground home's architecture, directing her to the most critical points where toxic gases were seeping in. Through the consciousness translator, she learned they called themselves the Mist Collective. They weren't simply hiding from the Arxians, they were protecting something. As Elena sealed another fissure, her suit's sensors detected an unusual energy signature emanating from deeper within the cave system. "We guard the heart," the translator conveyed, the concept accompanied by images of swirling lights and pulsing energy. The Mist Collective had been here long before the Arxians, serving as caretakers of what they considered the planet's living core. A violent tremor shook the caves, stronger than any before. Elena's geological scanner flashed urgent warnings. The Arxian mining operations had reached a critical point. They weren't just releasing toxic gases, they were destabilizing the entire underground network. The scanner's projection showed complete collapse within hours if the mining continued. Elena needed to contact the surface, but the caustic atmosphere blocked conventional communications. She turned to her kit again, this time activating a component that had been inspired by ancient Earth technology, a seismic communicator. Dr. Victor Rossi had insisted on its inclusion, remembering how trapped miners once communicated through rock by tapping out Morse code. But as she set up the device, another tremor rocked the caves. The molecular adhesive barriers held, but new fissures appeared. The Mist Collective swirled in panic, the heart chamber was now directly threatened. Through the translator, Elena felt their desperation. The heart wasn't just important to them, it was crucial to the planet's stability. Her suit's oxygen levels had dropped to 40 hours. The kit's resources were stretched thin, with most of the molecular adhesive used for barriers. But Elena had learned long ago that survival often meant thinking beyond the obvious uses of her tools. She recalibrated the matter reconstructor to analyze the heart chamber's energy signature. The results confirmed her suspicion. It was a natural geological stabilizer, similar to Earth's planetary core but more akin to a living organism. The Arxians' mining operation was literally killing the planet. A plan formed in Elena's mind. The kit's components could be combined in ways their creators had never intended. The plasma torch's power cell, merged with the seismic communicator, could amplify the heart's energy signature enough for the Arxians' instruments to detect it. But it would mean sacrificing her most reliable power source. The Mist Collective sensed her plan through the translator. They moved in complex patterns, their form of writing, sharing ancient knowledge about the heart. Elena's translator processed this information, revealing a crucial detail: the heart's energy could be safely channeled through crystalline structures. Another tremor struck, and Elena made her decision. She began dismantling the plasma torch, using the matter reconstructor to modify its components. The Mist Collective gathered around her, their forms providing light as she worked. Through their connection, she felt their trust, their hope, and something else: recognition of a kindred spirit who understood the importance of preservation. As she completed the modifications, Elena realized why Earth's survival kit training emphasized creativity over mere preparation. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't the tools they carried, but their ability to reimagine those tools' potential. The makeshift device powered up, channeling the heart's energy through modified crystalline components. The cave walls began to resonate with a deep, harmonic frequency. On the surface, every Arxian sensor would be detecting an energy signature they couldn't ignore. But as the signal strengthened, the chamber's crystalline structures began to change. The Mist Collective's excitement turned to concern. Through the translator, Elena understood, they weren't just sending a signal. They were awakening something that had slept within Nexus 7 for millennia. The heart's chamber started to glow with an intensity that overwhelmed her suit's light filters. The Mist Collective swirled faster, their patterns now urgent. They weren't just caretakers, Elena realized. They were guardians, and she had just helped them activate their planet's ancient defense system. Her kit's emergency beacon suddenly pulsed with an incoming signal. Help was arriving, but Elena wondered if she'd just complicated her rescue in ways no survival kit could have prepared her for. As the chamber's glow intensified, she understood that survival sometimes meant being ready to face the consequences of your solutions. The chamber's crystalline walls pulsed with living light, each beat sending waves of energy through the cave system. Elena's suit sensors struggled to process the readings, but the consciousness translator provided understanding through the Mist Collective's memories. Nexus 7 wasn't just a planet, it was an ancient mechanism, designed to maintain balance in this sector of space. Above, she detected movement. The Arxians were coming, drawn by the energy signature. Her makeshift device had worked too well, broadcasting the heart's presence to every crystalline being on the surface. Through the translator, the Mist Collective shared their fear. The last time the heart had awakened, it had reshaped the planet's surface to protect itself. Elena checked her kit's remaining resources. 30 hours of oxygen. A partially depleted matter reconstructor. The consciousness translator. And one component she hadn't touched, the kit's final emergency measure, a quantum entanglement communicator that could cut through any interference for one brief message to Earth Command. A grinding sound echoed through the caves as Arxian mining machines broke through the upper levels. The Mist Collective swirled in defensive patterns, ready to protect their charge. But Elena saw something in their movements that they didn't yet realize. They were synchronizing with the heart's pulses, their gaseous forms taking on a crystalline shimmer. Her suit's analysis confirmed it. The heart wasn't just awakening, it was adapting, trying to bridge the gap between its two children, the crystalline Arxians above and the gaseous Mist Collective below. It needed a mediator, someone who could help it complete the connection. Elena made her choice. She activated the quantum communicator, but not to call for help. Instead, she accessed Earth's xenobiology database, specifically the research on crystalline gaseous hybrid organisms. Dr. Aisha Rahman's groundbreaking work on phase-shifting life forms proved that such existence was possible. The Arxian machines breached the final barrier. Crystalline beings flowed into the chamber like living mercury, their forms refracting the heart's light. But instead of attacking, they froze, mesmerized by the sight of their gaseous cousins dancing with familiar patterns of light. Elena's translator worked overtime, processing the complex interchange of consciousness between the two species. The Arxians recognized something in the Mist Collective's movements, ancient glyphs encoded in their own crystalline structure, telling of a time when their ancestors could shift between states at will. The heart's chamber hummed with increasing intensity. Elena's suit warned of critical energy levels, but she pressed on, using the matter reconstructor to modify the consciousness translator. If she could merge Dr. Rahman's research with the translator's capabilities, she might help these species remember their shared origin. The Mist Collective and Arxians drew closer, their forms beginning to resonate with the same frequency. Through the enhanced translator, Elena shared Earth's understanding of adaptive evolution, of how life finds ways to survive by embracing change rather than fighting it. She showed them how humans had learned to carry their history forward while allowing themselves to transform. Suddenly, the heart pulsed with blinding intensity. Elena's suit shut down, rebooting to protect its circuits. When her vision cleared, she witnessed something unprecedented. The Arxians and Mist Collective had begun to merge, their forms shifting between states in a hypnotic dance of matter and energy. The heart's defense system hadn't activated to fight, it had awakened to heal, to remind its children of their true nature. Through the translator, both species shared their wonder. They had evolved into separate forms to survive different environments, forgetting they could be both, forgetting they were one. Elena's oxygen reserve warning flashed, 20 hours remaining. But as she watched the reunited species begin to work together, controlling the heart's energy to stabilize the planet, she knew her kit had served its greatest purpose. It hadn't just helped her survive, it had helped her reveal a truth that would transform an entire world. The Arxians, now able to shift into gaseous form, moved through their own mining tunnels, understanding for the first time the damage they had caused. The Mist Collective, embracing their crystalline aspect, began teaching their cousins how to mine without disturbing the planet's living core. Through the translator, they shared a new name for themselves, the Flux Harmony. As Elena watched them work, she realized that survival wasn't just about enduring, it was about helping life find new ways to thrive. Her kit, with its carefully chosen tools, had allowed her to bridge gaps she never knew existed, turning a potential catastrophe into a moment of transformation. 6 months after the events on Nexus 7, Elena stood before the Galactic Council, her survival kit placed on the podium before her. The chamber was filled with representatives from 100 species, but her attention was drawn to the shifting forms of the Flux Harmony delegates, beings that could now exist as both crystal and mist, a living testament to the power of adaptation. Humanity's obsession with preparation once seemed excessive to us, the council elder spoke, her bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with curiosity. But the events on Nexus 7 have challenged our understanding of what it means to be ready for the unknown. Elena opened her kit, now modified based on her experiences. The consciousness translator had been enhanced with Flux Harmony technology, capable of bridging even greater gaps between different forms of life. The matter reconstructor incorporated crystalline processing, making it more efficient and adaptable. Each component told a story of evolution through necessity. The Deathworlder survival kit was never just about surviving hostile environments, Elena explained, her voice carrying across the chamber. It's about carrying the tools that allow us to turn survival into understanding, crisis into opportunity. The Flux Harmony representatives demonstrated this point by shifting between states, showing how they now used modified versions of human kit components to maintain stability during their transformations. Their example had inspired other species to reconsider their own approaches to preparation and adaptation. Through the enhanced translator, Elena felt the ripple of recognition across the chamber. Each species had their own stories of survival, their own tools and techniques. But few had considered how these tools could serve as bridges between different forms of life. We propose a new initiative, Elena continued, activating a holographic display from her kit. A program to share survival technologies across species, not to impose human methods, but to learn from each other's adaptations. The display showed the results of her 6 months of collaboration with the Flux Harmony. They had discovered that the principles behind the human survival kit could be adapted for any species. The Aquilians, who breathed methane, had already modified the kit's atmospheric processors for their needs. The energy-based Xylon had incorporated the crystalline technology to better interact with physical matter. But it was the kit's philosophical impact that had proven most profound. Species that had once viewed preparation as paranoia now saw it as wisdom. The concept of carrying tools for understanding, not just survival, had sparked a revolution in interspecies relations. The greatest threat we face isn't the hostile environments of our worlds, Elena said, echoing Dr. Santos's words from years ago. It's the barriers we build between different forms of life. Every tool in this kit was designed to break down those barriers. The council chamber hummed with discussion. Through the translator, Elena felt the shift in consciousness, species sharing their own survival stories, offering their unique solutions to the challenges of existence. The kit had become more than a collection of tools, it had become a symbol of unity in diversity. In the months that followed, the Galactic Council established the Adaptive Technologies Exchange. Elena's kit became the foundation for a new approach to space exploration and diplomacy. Each species contributed their own innovations, creating a network of shared knowledge that made the galaxy more accessible to all. The Flux Harmony took a leading role, their unique perspective as a hybrid species proving invaluable. They showed how adaptation wasn't about losing one's nature, but about expanding it. Their world, Nexus 7, became a center for studying planetary consciousness and species evolution. As Elena packed her kit for her next mission, she added the latest innovations: crystalline memory matrices from the Flux Harmony, energy phase adapters from the Xylon, and atmospheric harmonizers from the Aquilians. The kit had evolved, just as humanity had evolved through its encounters with the unknown. Her new assignment would take her to the edges of known space, where recently discovered phenomena challenged their understanding of life itself. But Elena wasn't afraid. She carried with her not just the tools for survival, but the combined wisdom of a galaxy learning to thrive through diversity. The Deathworlder Survival Kit had started as humanity's answer to a dangerous universe. It had become something far greater, a testament to the power of preparation, adaptation, and the courage to reach across the boundaries that separate different forms of life. In the end, the greatest survival tool wasn't any single device, but the willingness to learn, change, and grow together.